Well, good morning guys, hope you're all doing well. So this is the first day actually today of a trip that myself and Adam Gibbs are coming on. We're doing a week going around Scotland and then we've got a week's workshop, so we've started to explore around Scotland. And the first port of call is this place, the Fairy Bridge. And it's something I've seen images of for quite a while now and been really interested to come and check it out, and Adam wanted to come and see it as well. So we've come down here today to see what we can make out of it. Now we came last night, but it was quite late last night when we got here and obviously the light had faded. We tried to find it, but it had got dark and it just went dark before we could actually locate the place. So we've come back this morning, managed to find it, and the weather conditions are beautiful today, lovely sunshine. Now that may prove to be a bit of a problem with the highlights back on the waterfall beyond the bridge there. We don't know until I get into it. But one thing I have noticed, there's a couple of issues already this morning. Number one, it's quite breezy and windy, and if I want to slow that shutter speed down for the water, I'm going to have to take that into consideration. The other thing is when you look around, it's quite a hard place to find a composition that works without cutting elements out. So I've been walking around to see what I can find, and I think the best place for me at least is up above this waterfall here, because you kind of almost get an S-curve in the water leading back towards the bridge. So I think it might be a case of a wide angle lens and getting closer to the bridge itself to try and eliminate some of this, because what happens, ideally I'd rather like to get this waterfall in, but when you get low and you get down to the bottom of this waterfall, what happens is it cuts out all the water leading back towards the bridge. So I need to get up above it so I can get that water course running through and up to the bridge. So what we'll do is I'm going to get set up and I'll try and work out where's my best position to be, and then I'll get you to the back of the camera and walk you through it. So I'll try and point out what's bothering me. If you look back here, you see the flow of the water comes down and round here. Now the problem if I get down here, which is more ideal for me, is you get more of this waterfall in, which is a more interesting element in the foreground. By the time it gets up to here, the water disappears behind all these rocks in this point here. And I'm not sure I actually like that. I want to be able to see the course of the water and where it goes. So the easiest way for me, I think, is to position myself up above this waterfall in here somewhere. And that means, yeah, it eliminates this and it's not as interesting a foreground, but at least I might be able to see where this water goes and be able to follow it round into the back where the bridge is. Hopefully that'll work. So what I'm finding is if I get down quite low like this, it's not really working for me, because again, I've got these rocks in front of me here, and as soon as I dip down low, it basically makes all of that, makes the water disappear basically, and I don't want that to happen because I really like the flow of the water and wanting to lead it through the image. If I get too low, it eliminates that. So really what I'm going to have to do is raise the tripod up so I can get above these rocks in the foreground here, or in mid-ground I should say, so I can actually see the flow of the water right through into the other side of the bridge. So a couple of things I've noticed. Basically, because I've had to move across to the left, this rock in the foreground here is going to be really close to the lens, so I think I might have to focus stack this. It may work as a single image, but I'm going to focus stack it just to make sure, because I don't want to go away from here and find that this is soft or blown out. So I'm going to take an image for the rock and an image for the background. The other thing, as I said before, there is bits of wind that pick up every now and then and blow this foliage around, so I may have to kind of take two shots for that as well. But as it happens, what I've been doing is waiting for the wind to die down and then taking the shot. The other thing I'm doing is popping a circular polarizer on the front there, just to take a little bit of this glare out of the rocks in the foreground here. So hopefully after a bit of to and fro, and I got the right position to capture all that water flowing through the scene quite nicely. I also managed to get a lull in the wind so that it didn't really blow and the foliage didn't move, so I managed to capture that in a single shot. I also I took an extra shot for that foreground boulder just to make sure that it was nice and sharp. Well, good morning guys, hope you're all doing well. This is day 2 of the trip around Scotland, and today we've come back to a place that we both visited last year, and it's an area in Torridon we kind of explored, but when we were here last time it absolutely threw it down with rain and it was just totally miserable. I only really got one shot. I'll pop that up now, and yeah, that was the only shot I really got. And it was such a shame because this is actually an area of Caledonian pine forest that still exists up here, and it's so beautiful. You've got those lovely lush greens, and when the sunlight hits them, they've just got this lovely sort of reflected light about them, and they just stand out so well in the landscape. This time when we come back, we're a little bit later in the year, so the fall colour's kind of trailing off a little bit now. So that's why we thought we'd kind of concentrate more on the Caledonian pines, which obviously don't drop needles or anything like that. They're lush all year round, really. Today it's looking as though we might be able to get some decent light, although it's starting to cloud in slightly. It's more a case of kind of a waiting game with this, though. We're going to have to wait for the light to hit these trees and just illuminate them the way we want. I've found a shot that works for me. I've been walking up through this valley for a little while, and I found this tree that I just really quite like the shape of, and I thought what I'd do is I'm going to work around with that. It's going to be pretty difficult to kind of isolate it from the backgrounds here because obviously we've got no fog or anything like that to work with, but I think what will work is I'll be able to create the depth with contrast rather than the actual weather conditions. So obviously I'm closer to this object, so it's going to have more contrast than the background, which is obviously going to have less, and that might help just give that little bit of separation, and I can enhance that in post. Also what I'm getting is where the sun is actually positioned, it's flooding light down from the top right hand section of my frame, so that is actually creating light across the top right section of the frame and actually leaching light across that section, so that's also helping to kind of reduce the contrast along the back section. I'll get you to the back of the camera though, and I'll show you the shot I'm looking at and how we're going to work with it. So yeah, the temperature's dropped a little now, so I've got to start wrapping up because it's gone pretty cold. As soon as that sun goes in, it's been fairly warm up here actually. This last couple of days I've been up here, we've been lucky. It's been really quite warm, 16 degrees, which is kind of odd for this time of year, but yeah, when that sun goes in and the wind starts to blow through, it's still pretty chilly. So what I'm going to do is get you to the back of this camera, and I want to kind of show you how I've got it lined up. Now what I'm using the, surprise, the pano, because what I want to do is at the minute I've got a wide angle lens on, and what I want to do is I don't want any of that sky in because there's nothing interesting about it. It's not going to add anything to the frame, and I want to kind of bring more attention to the tree. So basically I want to eliminate all that sky, so I've basically squashed that frame down so it's more like a panoramic, and then I've got more of the background in and more of the tree off to the left, but I'll get you back here and show you what I mean. So if I just show you what I'm seeing through the viewfinder, you'll see if I've got the full frame, you'll see all that messy sky at the top of the frame up here. And I don't really want that in at all because, as I say, it's not really adding any sort of interest whatsoever. Yeah, there's texture and detail, but for me, there's nothing going on that really makes me want to include that, if you see what I mean. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into that pano, that strip pano, which completely eliminates that at the top. So hopefully what you can see is just over here, that's where the light's coming in from the top of the frame. I've got the tree kind of just right of the kind of first kind of third, and yeah, sitting over towards the left hand side of the frame because I don't want it slap bang in the middle over here, just so that it gives this side of the frame a little more space. And then I've got those, obviously the forest behind there, which I want to try and kind of make a little bit more separation between this tree and the background if I can. But hopefully this shot's going to work, but it's a bit of a case of waiting game now. The cloud's gone in. I did grab a couple of shots earlier on. So guys, hopefully I got that shot, but as you can see now the light is fading fast. So we're gonna make our way back towards the van because it's quite a hike back out of here now, and take it up again in the morning. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video guys. I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.